All right, part two.
Yeah, hold on. I'm trying to figure out. Oh, there we go. Hello.
Yep.
Oh, okay, there we go. Yeah, I wasn't taking my mic. Now it's good.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so we'll get the producers to cut this out. That'll be fun.
Yeah, right.
Producer cut.
We got 5 games. Okay.
All right, let's
We
rock.
haven't disagreed yet, so it's weird. The
I
Saints.
know.
Like,
It's. I was expecting way more because, again, this is probably the least amount of time I've probably spent looking at some of these lines. Just again, it's been a crazy week. But it's weird, right? I felt that I would have had some sort of again, I realized that none of my takes are very factually I don't know what the word would be, backed, I guess. But at least I'm not deviating too much from
Yeah,
from
I
what I thought
know.
I'd be.
Because, like I said, I feel like half the battle is just we think everyone's gonna take the Bills. Let's just take the Rams or whatever.
Exactly.
But it's hard to
Exactly.
tell.
And it's also I don't know.
Week 1, so
Yeah, I was gonna say you got to take a stab somewhere. You got to be a little different. So yeah.
I feel like the Falcons will be the one. I don't think anyone's riding with the Birds. But it's also, like I said, I mean, 11 through 16 is the only thing that matters. I feel like we could go 0 for 7 as long as they're in the bottom 7. Doesn't matter. So if everyone's on the Bills, it really depends. Is everyone on the Bills at 16 or at 1?
Right.
Next one we got Carolina -1.5. We are also getting at -1.5. 93% of the cash on Carolina. That spread. What's your take?
Yeah, so this might be where we disagree, but this is my lock it in number 1. 16 points of confidence.
Wow.
I just love the Baker revenge game.
There we go. Yeah.
I realized that he's getting revenge against the entire team. It'd be way more fun, infinitely better if Deshaun was playing. It doesn't feel quite as rewarding, right? If he goes in and beats Jacoby Brissett, what does that really do? But I don't know if this is a real quote, but I saw a quote today, and it was from Nick Chubb, and it was well, when you play Baker, we all know Baker. You don't know what to expect from him or something like that. It was something very just vague and
we know what to expect, so we don't know what to expect.
Exactly. And it's just the dude catches endless shots and endless strays, and I think that they talked about this on the Ringer, one of the pods, and it was Baker's always at his best when he's super, super, super doubted, right?
Sure, yeah.
Going number 1 overall and pretty much saving the franchise, right? I realize that a lot of other things went the right way, but I think a lot of what goes into saving a franchise is being a stable, consistent quarterback.
Yeah.
Which again, I'm preaching to the choir, but they just haven't had that in 20 some odd years, right? So I just think that he was done a major disservice. And again, I don't think that any of his off-field antics and the commercials helped his cause, but he also played the entire season hurt last year, right? So I think that while I was one who said that all Sam Darnold needed was a change of scenery, I really do think that Baker going into Carolina and getting that change of scenery is going to be exactly what he needs and what the Panthers need. And not to mention just the added incentive to go in and beat the shit out of the team that totally, in my opinion, disrespected you. So again, I told you that we were going to disagree at some point. And I also told you that a lot of what goes into these picks and what will likely continue to go into these picks is just the way my brain works. And when I'm betting, I pretty much throw everything out the window that has to do with stats and projections. And I just go with the gut. And I just think this is the ultimate gut check game because who on the Browns or even on the Panthers for that matter will want this game more than Baker, right? I don't think anyone in the NFL wants a game more than Baker does. And again, I realize that he's not this prolific player, but by all accounts, the Panthers already love him. He's already got the locker room on his side. And it's in Carolina too. So I don't know how great their home field is. Probably not very. But I don't know. Just give me Baker revenge game. Top of the list for me. I'm very excited to hear your take on this though.
No, yeah, it's funny. This is my 5th most confident.
All right. All right. Okay.
It's interesting, but I also took Carolina. I'm good with it. I mean, I think, you got to look. You really got to scale it out, I think, when you're looking at quarterbacks. And this game's probably going to be the 45th best quarterback versus the 24th. I mean, it's a big difference to be making up those points just because the Browns have a good D line.
Right.
I mean, Brissett looked unplayable last year on a team that, at least had Waddle. Now he's going. I mean, I don't think Amari's got a ton left in the tank or a ton of incentive left in the tank catching passes from Brissett. You're really counting on a big game from Garrett, Chubb, and Hunt in the O-line, which, I mean, it's possible, but I think Baker's a lot better than people think. He's not unplayable. I think if he was on the Seahawks, we'd probably be pretty excited about that team. So I'm good with Carolina given the points here. I think Baker unlocks this offense a little bit for DJ Moore. McCaffrey's going to be healthy. And even though I don't really like Rule, it's hard going with Brissett in that receiver core against a pretty competent quarterback and receivers.
And just quick other point, I do agree. I don't like Rule, but one thing I did want to mention is that this is, again, let's imagine this was like Survivor. Maybe I'd take Carolina in Survivor here and just get it over with.
Yeah.
For all the reasons I just listed, but also the fact that this is the healthiest CMC's ever going to be, right? So if you want to count on one game where he's guaranteed to play at least a snap, right? This is it. And by all accounts, he's focusing more on pliability and less on the glory muscles. If that's what the biceps and the triceps, all that good stuff. And more so on, right, just things that are going to keep him on the field. So that's a plus. And I also think that DJ Moore is just an absolute savage. This goes back to 2-3 years ago when
of course.
you got me on the DJ Moore train, and I was like, wait, why is this guy not talked about? And yeah, I just think that he's not AJ Brown caliber, right? Just in terms of raw physicality, but I think talent wise, he's right there. And situationally, he's been in maybe one of the worst situations since Carolina, right? So again, as you said, Baker's not going to light the world on fire, but he's competent, and he's 10 times more competent than anyone they've had up to this point. So I look to DJ Moore to have a good season. And again, that's more big picture here, but I like my idea of this is the healthiest CMC is probably going to ever be. So just go all in on two pretty talented guys taking care of a pretty mediocre team overall. Again, defense is solid, but I don't think they're going to keep up. I don't think this will be a shootout, but this will definitely be a case of Carolina. If they have the chance to go up by 2 scores, it's probably just over.
Yeah, and it might not look pretty, could see some strip sacks, could see something, but I just don't see the Browns would have to get out to a big lead, I think, to really to end this. So go with that. So that's perfect. I had right now. We can meet in the middle and do that for like 14. I'm good with.
Cool with that.
I like that. Next up, I have this as my 5th least confident. The team I love, San Francisco 49ers. We're getting it at 6.5. They're giving Chicago. It's all the way up to 7 now. It's tough. I struggle with this. Went back and forth. It's just Kittle's also hurt today. Looks like he would not play.
Right.
Just came out. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's man, I just think that they're messing up this Trey Lance thing so bad. And not that this has much effect on this game, but if this is the 1980s, I mean, Jimmy's probably a 49er for the next 12 years. I mean, he's probably going to the Hall of Fame. It's a big risk to take on. And I mean, I think how people are looking at it, it's like, oh, what do you mean Trey Lance unlocks this offense? I mean, there's a way to unlock the offense where they're still pretty mediocre. It doesn't matter if you're doing 80-yard plays, if you're giving up 3 and outs, if you're giving up sacks. And I mean, he's looked awful. This is a guy who's thrown 100 passes in his basically whole competitive career. It's tough because the rest of the roster is so good. If they had Jimmy, they'd be my Super Bowl pick. They still might be. It's just, I mean, a little chip on Justin Fields' shoulder here for getting passed on in the draft. It's tough. It's 6.5. I got no confidence in this. I'm good with whatever. I got Chicago written down.
All right. Well, this is about to be our first disagreement. So when I finally looked at all of the lines for week 1, this was the ultimate. Oh, this is free money.
Really? Oh, man.
Since then, however, I have completely gone against that. But one of my pillars of betting is I go with my first instinct. Again, good if this picks up and the audience loves it, you're going to start to see a trend here. But I tend to stick with what I first thought because I'll be kicking myself if I go against my initial thought. If I change it up and it works, great, But if I change it up and what I initially thought was right ends up being the case, and I'm not on that side of history. So if I pick the Niners and they're right because I stuck with it, then I'll be good. But I don't know. Kittle being out, tough. Elijah Mitchell, who the hell knows? Also tough. But also, they have at least 3 more running backs, all of which are probably exactly the same and will probably do 80% of what Elijah Mitchell can bring to the table, right? I don't trust the Bears at all. In fact, I think they are going to be just far and above the worst team in football. I understand the Justin Fields aspect of, chip on his shoulder, but I don't know. He was quite erratic last year, and it's like he's certainly a little bit more polished than Trey Lance is. I think that's a no-brainer, but at the end of the day, how much different is he really, right? He's got a good arm, and he's in a offense, though, that I don't know, has nothing around him. At least Trey Lance has the infrastructure of as you said, if Jimmy's the quarterback, that's probably a Super Bowl team, right? So Trey Lance screwing up, I think, is going to hurt the Niners a lot less than Fields screwing up, right? There's a lot more margin for error for Lance to completely just, fall apart and this team somehow finds a way to win. I don't feel great, and I still have him as my second most confident because, again, I'm sticking to my guns here. Yeah. I don't feel great about it, but I want to stick to my guns because I felt so locked in on it. And I just think on paper, I don't know, the Niners are a way better team. The Trey Lance stuff is horrifying, of course, but I just think the Bears are so bad. I think the Bears are so bad that, I don't know, the Niners should win this game no matter who their quarterback is. They should win this game if Nick Mullins is their quarterback. They should win this game if Beathard is their quarterback. And to be honest, do you feel more confident if Nick Mullins is their quarterback for this game?
I think, honestly, I think I might. Yeah, I just think the San Francisco way is just, I mean, it's proven at this point. I don't know what they're trying to reinvent the wheel here. I mean, it goes back. I mean, if they take Mac Jones, I mean, God, you think all of these pass catchers, Mac Jones, them as a team, they could be the best team in the league if they have Mac Jones right now.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's not going to be in the same way that Kansas City or Buffalo's the best team in the league, but maybe that's a good thing. That's how you want to win. You want to win differently. You can't copy them. And it's just, I think it's pretty stupid what they did. They tried copying these other teams, but like, that's not who you are.
Yep.
So yeah, like, I think this game's a little bit of me just like, I want to bet against San Francisco until they put in Jimmy.
Fair enough.
But I think it probably, you're right. It doesn't make a difference in this game. I'll meet you in the middle. We'll do San Fran for 9.
Yeah, no, that's definitely more than fair. And again, if I looked at this from a rational perspective, this would definitely be lower. But I was just so bullish on it to start. And this is, again, I looked at the lines probably a few days ago, right? And this is knowing everything we know about Trey Lance. But it on paper just should be the easiest bet of the century. Just in all departments, the 49ers are so much better. I think that the Bears are going to be not historically bad because, again, I think Fields is okay and can maybe keep them afloat in some games, but I hate their skill guys. Their line is horrible. So, I expect that Niners defense to get to Fields quite often and make his life a bit miserable. So let's meet in the middle and definitely stick with the Niners, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I think maybe comparable for this is the game Lance played last year against the Texans. They still won by 16.
Right.
just tough. I mean, I think my take purge is gonna be Trey Lance benched by week 12, and the Niners finally win a Super Bowl with Jimmy. I just think, I mean, at some point they got to face the facts. I mean, you can't look yourself in the mirror and waste this year because you want to be right. I mean, they're a great team with Jimmy. Not that Jimmy has to stay, not that Trey Lance can never play, but like, I mean, it's the name value. But if the Packers got rid of Rodgers for Love, obviously it's not the same. But like, this is a great team with a winning system, and they're throwing it out, I think, to try to be something that they're not.
Yep.
It may be a kill their system, but it probably doesn't kill their week one.
Yep.
All right. Now here's probably the biggest game, one of them of the week. Chiefs at Cardinals. This opened 3.5. So we're getting some value here, but it's all the way up to 6 for Arizona. I mean, just based on that value alone, I had to put this as number 14 for me for Kansas City. I mean, we're getting 2.5 points here. Not that I'm necessarily high on either of these teams. I kind of want to bet against the Chiefs because I think, they basically chose Orlando Brown over Hill. I don't like this talk that the Chiefs are more dangerous because they have more options. I mean, they have no options. They got a receiver who hasn't been good in 4 years and is always hurt, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, and a rookie from Western Michigan. I mean, and a 33-year-old tight end. I mean, I think it's going to be painful for the Chiefs at times this year. Still probably ends up with 11 or 12 wins, but I don't think the Cardinals are the team that stops them week one. Getting this value, I think it's fine.
Yeah, so I put them right in the middle. I guess 8th least. It's smack dab in the middle, right? 8th least / 8th most confident. I understand the movement to be a -6 now in favor of Kansas City, but I don't know. I think that some of this Arizona stuff is a little overblown. I don't like the team, right? And I don't think that they're going to have a great season, but not much has changed from last year from the team that, started incredibly well, right? And again, everyone knew they were frauds all along. But part of me thinks that maybe all this Kyler nonsense will help him a little bit. And again, I could look like a total fool in like 4 weeks when Kyler's pouting and standing 20 feet away from the huddle and whatnot, just doing his own thing. But week 1 is always weird. And to all the points you just mentioned, I still am going with the Chiefs because, again, I think that value is great. But I also just think it's going to be a weird game. I don't think either team is going to take any sort of control. It's going to come down to, I think, very much just a quarterback battle. And obviously, we're taking Mahomes 10 times out of 10. Again, though, who the heck knows? Arizona is maybe the weirdest team to me this year with certainly the most volatile, right? I think that they could turn on whatever the heck was working for them last year and have that just be the way they play and be pretty solid, right? And all of this Kyler nonsense is finally settled with the contract, and maybe he's got a newfound, I don't know, hunger because of all the nonsense that was leaked. But conversely, I could just see this completely spiraling. Kingsbury, first coach fired after like, I don't know, week 6 or 7. And this whole thing just falls apart. So it's why it's right in the middle for me. I am leaning Chiefs because, again, just it's the value, right? The fact that this line has moved so much. So I don't think there's really much else to say on this. It's going to be it's what should be a super interesting game, but I just think it's going to be like, ooh, yeah, that's about right.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's, these are 2 teams I think everyone wants to be right on. Either, Kyler and Cliff are going to be done, or the Chiefs needed Hill all along, or it's actually Mahomes all along. When in reality, I know I feel like both of these teams are going to be a little bit sluggish. 10 or 11 win teams. That's not always pretty. So with the value, I'll just go with Vegas. Next up, Raiders Chargers. Also, it's going to be a good 4:00 window here.
Yeah.
I had this right dab in the middle. I took the Chargers. News today, JC Jackson's going to be out, the new corner. I don't got much to say. We just saw these teams play, the last game of the year. I think the improvements are going to be good for LA. Spent a lot of money. I think they're in win now mode, maybe trying to copy the Rams a little bit. Don't mind the Raiders. I think it's just going to catch up to them. As good as Adams and Carr might be, I think these past couple of drafts might start catching up to them.
Right.
So I'll take the Chargers -3.5 here.
Yeah, so I'm looking at this again, how I look at most things, and it's the last game that I saw these two teams play. Truly, just I don't even know how to explain what the hell we saw. Um, I'm as a result going with the Raiders and the points, just because again I think it's going to be so weirdly back and forth, much of like what we saw last year, right? I think that both teams have obviously made drastic improvements to their team. I'm not as high on Devontae Adams, at least at the start. I think that a lot of what made him so successful in Green Bay was just that connection with Aaron Rodgers, right? That almost sixth sense. They knew exactly where they were going to be at all times. Carr is also, I'm not going to say quite a step down from Rodgers, but he's certainly not in within, 2 to 3 tiers of him as a player, right? Probably more. So it's, I don't know. It's again, I had that, I think, let's see. Yeah, 7th overall in confidence. And usually when it's this much of a toss up, at least in my head, I just take the team with the points. I probably wouldn't bet this game. But because I think that at least early on, these two teams will be relatively similar, I do think, we'll look back on this game in 10 weeks or so and be like, wow, how did the Chargers only win by 4 points? How did the Chargers only win by 7? I do think these two teams will kind of separate themselves as the year goes on. Granted, as long as Staley doesn't do anything too ridiculous, right? And who knows, maybe he pulls out some absolute nonsense this week and the spread just gets busted because he's almost, I don't even know how to explain this, but just the way that they do things, I feel like it just shreds the spread, right? When you should kick a field goal, because it's,
Oh yeah, you're right.
they go for it. So it's just the way that their score lines always kind of end up just
4 probably matters a little bit more.
right? But so it's like, give me the chance just to get those points, because who the heck knows when not kicking a field goal is going to hurt the Chargers, at least in terms of covering, right? So that's why I put them in the middle. That's why I'm taking the points. But it's kind of like the Chiefs Cardinals game. I just think that it's two teams that are, at least right now, evenly matched, but two teams that could very well separate themselves.
Yeah, time to go play. Yeah, I think the only thing that scares me about the Chargers is, as good as Herbert is, just like the Chiefs, I don't know. There's a real chance this receiving core could fall out. You got Keenan Allen, 30 years old, catches the ball and falls down. Williams quietly is pretty old too, 27, and he's been good 1 out of 5 years. I don't think it has a drastic effect on the season, but it'd be nice, if the Chargers went out and got one of these receivers. I'd be viewing them much differently. I think there's still some downside there that the pass catchers can't fully let Herbert unleash. But I'm good with Vegas. I'll put that a little bit towards the bottom, around 3 or 4. But
sounds good.
Next up, so this is interesting. Giants at the Titans. I will say tickets. We got 51% of the tickets on the Titans. 91% of the cash is on the Giants.
What?
Getting 5.5. I'll give you the floor.
I have the Giants, and I have them as the second least confident. So I don't think 91% cash is at all justifiable. I will take the Giants because I think that they're not going to be as bad as people have them out to be. It's slightly horrifying when you look at their skill guys. If you haven't drafted yet, I'm all in on Saquon. I think it's going to be a lot like the Aaron Jones situation in Green Bay, just an absolute target and reception machine. Obviously, that doesn't transfer over into this Titans game, but it's kind of like the CMC point, right? Saquon will be at his healthiest this game, and again, from all accounts, he's looking way more in shape. I think that year after the ACL is never easy, especially for running backs. You look for that kind of 2 years after the ACL to really get your legs back from under you. I think having him alone is enough to at least somewhat keep you in a game. I don't trust Daniel Jones, but I do trust this new offense, right? But again, to my previous point, I don't know who the hell is going to catch the ball other than Wan'Dale Robinson, Saquon.
Mm-hmm. The one game Tony's healthy, maybe now's the time.
But I didn't mention Tony because I don't even know if he's healthy. He hasn't. Yeah. I don't think he's put on the pads and practiced for a week straight this offseason. He's always seen in the corner. doing something else. If the ones are in, I don't know, one area of the training ground, he's off on the other side wearing his helmet, but wearing freaking shoes and like flip flops. It's just it's shorts and flip flops. It's just the oddest situation. So I don't really know what to expect from him, but I think that kind of goes against the whole, this is the healthiest he's going to be with Saquon, with CMC, because we haven't seen him healthy ones in preseason. So that's my take from the Giants side. And I realize I didn't make a compelling case for them, but I just like Saquon. I trust their offense. And I also think that Tennessee is going to be just weird Tennessee. Tennessee that could be 1 seed like last year, or weird Tennessee that's this is the season Derrick Henry finally breaks down. They don't have any skill guys. I don't trust Tannehill. I don't know. So
could be ugly. Yeah, I think it sucks. Two teams don't want to bet against playing each other.
Right.
I think it's weird. I think everyone just I think I had the Giants, but 6th least confident. But another one I was looking at for a while today. I think everyone just wants to be right in the Titans.
Yep.
Everyone wants to be the first one to say, hey, I told you this was unsustainable. This was whatever. But I mean, that doesn't have to be week 1. They're home and they're only given 5.5 to maybe one of the worst quarterbacks in football who's got no receivers.
Right.
I mean, they got Henry. They got a system. I think just like San Fran, this is a team that, maybe they don't win in a way that, the spreadsheets like, but they win. And they win and they win and they win. And maybe they're never going to compete with the top tier, but kind of like just like the Ravens, they can beat up on these horrible teams. They can ride Henry at least for this week.
Yeah.
So it's tough. I got the Giants written down, but it's hard betting on Daniel Jones in a road game, first game with a new coach against a team that was just the 1 seed. Yeah, they were a bad 1 seed, but I mean, let's not go crazy. I think everyone just wants to be right. Yeah. And yeah, you can be right. Titans may go 7-10. Like, I don't think they're that good, but they can get swept by the Jags. They can split with the Texans. They can get swept by the Colts. I don't think this Giants team is one that's going to be able to come back if Henry gets going. So I might put the Titans. I know we both want to save that Tampa Bay game, but I'm leaning towards putting the Titans as one of the lower ones. It's tough.
No, yeah, I don't know. I agree. I mean, I had the Giants written down, but again, it's my second least confident. And
yeah.
Even though I made the case that Saquon can keep him alive, and I mean, that's about it. I do trust him, and I think that he's got, of course, the big play upside that very few running backs in the league still have.
And the cash is crazy. 91% on the
Giants.
Yeah,
that's the thing. That's what
everyone wants to be right. It's like sometimes you just gotta trust the record.
Yeah, that's what's putting me off even more now. It's such a weird game. It's basically 2 teams who, on paper, are going to be incredibly one-dimensional. I trust Daboll, and I think that he's obvious. I mean, Josh Allen is, he's in a league of his own. I don't even want to. I don't want to put Daniel Jones in the same sentence as Josh Allen, but the skill set is. The idea is similar, right? It's a tall quarterback who's got some pretty solid mobility. Problem though is where Josh Allen's biggest issue was completion percentage. Jones's is pretty much everything. It's turnovers at the top of the list. It is completion percentage. It's a lot of other things, right? So there's just a lot that goes into it. But I don't know. I could talk myself into circles on this one as well forever, right?
It's tough. I'll put Titans as lowest, but not a game I think we want to bet on either team. All right, let's run through it. 10-minute warning. We'll go. All right, Vikings pack. Quick, we got Vikings 1.5 is the spread. Still there, it looks like. No, we got it. We're getting a 2.5. I had this pretty high. I'm not a Packers believer, not a Rodgers believer. I think they're going from maybe, their receiving core wasn't great, but when you got that alpha, I think it still was one of the better ones in the league. So I had Minnesota pretty high, 5th most confident.
Yeah, I wanted to put them so much higher. I had Minnesota as well, but I have them as 6th least. And again, just looking at the board, it's just the way it fell. I was looking at it to try to find a way to get it a little bit higher, but just looking at some of these games, maybe I bump them above Vegas, I had them 7th. Maybe over KC, I had them 8th. But I don't think I'm more confident in them than any of the other teams that we have above them. We've discussed obviously most of them at this point. Again, I think that Minnesota is another one of those teams where people are on them for a good reason, right? But I don't know. It is still Aaron Rodgers. It is still the Packers. Getting a 1.5 though at home, with all accounts, that you are a better team than you were last year with a much, much, much improved coaching staff. Yeah. I think that it's fine to give to take them, right? I don't think there's much else really to say.
Next up, we got marquee game tough. I had this as my least confident. Bucks Cowboys on Sunday night. It's up to 2.5. Dallas is we're getting it at 1.5. Went with Tampa. It's tough. Least confident. I think, I don't think there's much to be said. I feel like these teams we know a lot about. It's stupid to say. I mean, he's a good player, but I do think Dallas's season comes down to is CD an alpha or a beta, because if he's a beta, this team might win 7 games. But if he can go out there, be who we thought he was entering last year, then this Dallas team can run it back like last year. What do you think?
Yeah, I'll give the Tampa Bay side. So I also have Tampa. They are my 3rd least confident, though. I mean, I can't really imagine a more chaotic offseason than the one that Tampa had. Brady disappearing for 10 days, 14 days, whatever the case was, basically losing the entire O-line. Who would have thought that Fournette potentially showing up fat ended up being like the least of their concerns? And again, I realized a lot of that was all overblown, but like at the time, that's like, oh my God, marquee guy, Brady's guy is now showing up 20 pounds overweight. And again, amounted to nothing, probably all water weight anyway, but I don't know. There's just a lot that could go right with Tampa. Again, it is Tom Brady still. They still have Mike Evans. Godwin's a bit of a question. I think he is cleared to play right week 1. Again, though, it's not even a year off an ACL. This is still very, very fresh. I think it's different for receivers versus running backs, though. Nowhere near the amount of volume that you're going to get as a running back. So I think that he'll recover much quicker. It's just hard. The line scares me. Does that mean that it's just going to be a ton of dump offs to Fournette, a ton of just quick over the middle stuff? I really don't know what this offense will look like, but if there's any quarterback that you're going to trust to just kind of make things work, it's Brady. And to your point with Dallas, I obviously hate Dallas. And especially with CD, as you said, it's now is the time, right? He's been the guy for what is it? This is 3rd year or is this
third year?
3rd year, right? So he's kind of been the savior for that offense, right? It's as Zeke continues to fade into the distance. Now it's time for CD to be that alpha in their offense, and who the hell knows if that's the case. And we're not going to get an answer after this game, so let's just stick to the pedigree, even if this team is coming in way more banged up than we'd like. So I guess let's go Tampa.
Yep, good with me. Now we got Broncos Seahawks to end it. Was my my 2nd most confident. We're getting it at 5.5, up to 6.5. I got Denver here. I just think Seattle's probably them and the Bears. I think are, for me, the clear worst 2 teams in the league, maybe followed by the 2 New York teams. I think 5.5, a little weird, We're getting that point. We're getting through 6 now. So I think the Broncos go out. I'm not a big Russ guy, but I think Russ plus these receivers will win it.
Yep. No, totally agreed. When I first looked at the board, this was in that lock tier with Carolina and San Fran.
Perfect.
I allowed myself to waver a little bit on like the San Fran game. So they're still my 4th most confident. So I'll give them 13 points of confidence there. I do agree with you. I'm not a huge Russ guy. I mean, off the field stuff is incredibly annoying. On the field as well, though, I think he leaves a bit to be desired, especially now, however old he is. I like their skill guys. I don't love their skill guys. I think Judy's getting way too much hype. More of a Sutton guy myself, but again, we'll see. I like the idea of a Russ revenge game, and I totally agree that Seattle's not going to be competitive at any point in the season.
Yeah, explosion potential here, I think, for the Broncos.
For sure.
All right, so there we go. That's the lineup. We'll work out the final ones here, where to place them.
Yep.
But overall, I feel like we're in pretty good agreement.
Yeah.
And I'm liking the card. I was worried we'd have too many favorites, but I think we came around, I think, and ended up getting some good dogs in here.
Yeah, I think
at the bottom.
We definitely sprinkled it enough. It's way too easy to go against all the home dogs, but you just know it's not going to be the case, right? You got to sprinkle in some of those home dogs.
Yeah, they're so big. It was tough.
I think Minnesota's a good one. I wish I had them higher. Who else do we have here? Give me some other picks. You have it consolidated yet to run through or not yet?
Yeah. So right now is a rough draft. I got, in order of confidence, Denver, Philly, Carolina, Baltimore, Kansas City, Jacksonville, Minnesota, San Fran, Buffalo, Houston, Tampa, Miami, Pittsburgh, Vegas, Atlanta, and then Tennessee as the one.
All right.
So not bad. Any other, I guess 2 minutes left. What's your, the Super Bowl prediction we'll do?
What we got? It's, I don't know. After having converted, my girlfriend's family into Bills fans, it's hard not to pick them. It is, of course, a little frustrating that all of America is on them. I never like to
crazy.
It's. I mean, I think it's silly, right? I think they're going to be amazing, but I don't know. I don't think it's as unanimous as everyone is making it seem, right? I'll still go Bills. I think this is Josh Allen's MVP season. They've continued to progress that a little bit each year. So is he. I think the offense is just, they have it way more, I guess, defined in terms of who's going to do what. I think that James Cook will see some run for sure. I love the fact that Isaiah McKenzie won the slot role. It's much better than Jamison Crowder, right?
Yeah.
Much better than Beasley, in my opinion. So I like them out of the AFC. And the NFC, it's such a toss-up, but I think I'm gonna go really boring and go back to the Rams. I think we're gonna do Super Bowl preview on Thursday. I don't know. The NFC feels very I feel flat on almost every other team.
Yeah, exactly.
Done it, so why not those Rams?
Yeah, I'm going. Like I said, back to the well. I think Trey Lance gets benched in the fall, winter months. Jimmy G comes in and they finally get it done. So I'll pick San Fran again every year since that Chiefs year. I think San Fran makes it. They win the Super Bowl. AFC's tough. I think the Chiefs might regret losing Hill. So I'm going San Fran over the Chargers in the Super Bowl.
All right.
I'll ride the other hype wave in the AFC. And I'll take Herbert's ascension year and get it done. Seen a lot of similarities between them and the Rams. As much as I don't love the receivers, I think Herbert gets it done. They'll have plenty of experience with tough games in that division and from last year. So
good stuff.
So there we go. All right, nice.
All right, I guess that's a wrap. We'll see you. We'll see you next Wednesday.
See you next Wednesday. Hopefully, we got we win 1 week, you automatically make your money back. Is how he was saying.
All right.
And then some. So hopefully we're playing with house money this time.
Let's go. $1 million picks. See you tomorrow.
See ya.
Peace.